This is the Long War. I'm Rob Baer, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher and Brad Chester from
This
40K Lore
guy.
Cast.
Oh, dog,
What's
great to
up,
be
y'all?
here.
I'm psyched. I'm happy you guys had me. I'm very tall.
Mm,
Hold on. I'm going to try to be the tallest person on
That is
screen real
a
quick.
that is a known fact about Brad Chester. He's known for his kindness, his uh, expert level play, and his height.
First and foremost.
Always the height.
I
You're
don't
like
think
right
we've
away. You're
ever,
like,
in all the years of being friends, did a podcast together.
no,
No?
I was saying.
That's
I
wild.
think you guys were on forever. You guys were doing this before I knew the internet existed.
Mm-hmm.
The only time I ever knew anything about 40K online was for the longest time was when Greg Sparks, anytime I was mentioned in any bad way, would clip it and send it to me. And I was like, that's what a good friend does.
That is
Finds
good old
anybody talking
Sparky.
shit about you
You
and
can,
go, you definitely need to hear this, Brad. I'm like,
you can
or
always count on
maybe
good
I
old
didn't.
Sparky, man, coming through. So yeah, Brad Chester, longtime friend. We've been friends with this guy for longer than most people have been playing this game or even knew about the IP probably, especially in the rash of more new popularities. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we just had the year of the 1,000-man round one at LVL, so the biggest the hobby's
Yeah.
ever been objectively as far as gameplay goes. So it's pretty awesome to have you on here, and you are podcasting on the Lorecast as you mentioned earlier, YouTube, Spotify. You guys did just
we're
run,
lore casting.
yeah.
We just ran the lore 40K Lorecast major, and we're running. I'm doing my announcement again. October 18th and 19th, we're running a 5-man team event, and I'm super psyched. Much to KR's chagrin, I will talk so much about teams all the time. I do think it's still the best way to play, man.
Mhm.
It's so good. It also doesn't. You can lose a game and no one cares. Basically, you slap the teammate in the face and go, "Get your shit together, man. We got next round." But I like the fact that you can play 5 rounds and it's a 0 to 20 score. You could score. You could literally lose every single game. Go out as first defender, take the worst map and the worst matchup, and you are the MVP of the team. If you lost all 5 of your games in a row at a singles event, you'd be like, well, maybe I play Age of Sigmar
It still
now.
takes a lot of fortitude to lose 5 games in a row, but it's not hard.
100%.
It's not as hard when you have your
Right.
boys with you, and that's the plan,
Yeah,
right?
and
Like, and that's
especially if you're winning every round, just cool. I mean, you want to personally be better, whatnot, but like if you're taking the worst shit for everybody and making everybody else's matchup so much better, I don't know, I like playing like that. It also there's always going to be something in any current meta. There's going to be one or two armies that are wildly overtuned, and there's going to be a couple armies that are wildly undertuned. And when you play in teams, you're like, hey, I just don't face that thing, or I am the person that faces that thing, and I
I
try
mean,
to
you have
grind
a
out
whole
points.
scheming phase where it's like,
Yep.
I do this, you do this. What do we do in this situation? We played team events. I remember one year we played a team event, Rob. I won every game. I was a fucking maniac. But you guys gave me like the fucking softball pitch matchups to do that. I remember I had every matchup was hella optimized. And then I remember the
Yeah.
following year, someone on the team was like, who was in the I get shit on every round, was like, I don't want to do that again. I think it was Rob. Rob was like, I don't like it sucked. I did it once. Now it's someone else's turn. And then that next round year was me. And I remember having that job and having to lose essentially 6 games in a row. And I was like, oh, both these roles are so fucking important.
Yes.
Everyone on a team needs to take a round a year
Well,
in
you,
that
you also have
position.
to be good for that. Like I can never be the guy that's set up because I play so cautiously that I'll never get you 20s. I'm so much better at
At,
trying to
at,
figure
at
out.
cucking someone out of a 20.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. I just like because as soon as I get ahead, I'm like, well, never doing anything ever again.
Yeah.
Like that's like models are no longer moved.
Oh shit,
You're
I'm
like,
about to
Brad.
lose. I got to move one model. Okay, I didn't
Exactly.
lose. Tight.
You're like, Brad, you got another 12. Good job. You're supposed to get 20s. I'm like, yeah, but I almost took a risk, and that seems crazy.
So, lots to talk about tonight. We got the new.
Oh, yeah.
We got a what's new in the FAQ tonight with Brad Chester. So we have an expert, which is always great. He's also a coach, offers coaching service on his website.
Mm.
But before we move into anything, let me just say the show notes title: "Making the Jump from Player to TO," which you recently did, which is why we have that as our title. But before we get into anything, Rob, break down some news for us. What happened?
It's the new segment already. So soon. Nice.
So soon.
Yes. So we got an FAQ we're going to talk about tonight. Saturnine is officially going to be the pre-order for the Saturday, and if you're into a little Games Workshop drama, well, here's where we stand. So remember that thing a couple weeks ago with Cathay where they were like, "Hey, you got to buy this bundle to get the rest of the stuff," and stores were like, "The fuck you,
Oh
the
yeah,
fuck
that
are you
was
on?"
garbage.
Yeah, like
Why?
the one thing people are gonna want, like, to sell, like, can't get. Like, this is stupid unless you buy this bundle. Okay, fine. Fast forward to this
Buy
week.
shit that you don't want and you can't sell in order to access the thing you do want. You can't sell.
Yeah, it's
We all
idiotic.
know why you're doing it. We get it.
So they put out their email on super late Sunday night. So like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. The new Saturnine box will be $315 retail. So I mean, if you think about it, it's only $15 more than $299 was the last price of their starter. Still got a whole lot of value in there, like almost $300 in value. But it's $315 up front. Like it's a lot of money. It's a big ask. So they put out the thing where they're like, "Hey stores, here's your thing. Oh, there's a bundle by the way." And then immediately everybody gets like super like, "What? Wait, are we not going to be able to order this?" Because nobody wants a bundle. Everybody just wants to get the box, the big shiny box that everybody else wants, and sell it. So I heard from a lot of stores. They're like, "Hey, the bundle might not be paywall. It might not be paywalled. It might be paywalled. Nobody really knows." But then this morning, I started getting a bunch of messages from folks like, "Hey, my rep called me early. They wanted me to up my order," and I'm like, "What do you? Well, how many did you order?" And a lot of them were like, uh, between several dozen to 100, and they're like, "Yeah, last time they did that, it was Skaven Tide," and I was like, that's not a good comparison." And so,
Also, speaking of boxes that were given out as prize support and
oh
everywhere you
my,
went,
at every event
every event,
since
Jesus.
like a year and a half, right? They did not do well. It turns out that when you legends all the models that people play with a month before the new box set comes out to replace them, people might not be okay with that.
I have big feelings on Legends, by the way. Continue though. So
Oh yeah.
I don't want to go wildly off board, but
So that's basically that was one of the things that happened with Skaven Tide. So anyway, so a lot of folks got, and it was weird because some stores of various sizes, they would call me and they would be like, "Hey, I just got a phone call from my GDR rep. They want us to increase our Saturnine numbers." But then some stores that I know ordered several hundred were like, "No, nobody called us about anything." I'm like, "Well, that makes sense because you ordered several hundred, so they don't care." So it kind of seems like they were trying to like loosely shake down the smaller accounts to order more. Some of them even tried to get them to order like 10 rule books and 10 of these other books. And what it sounds like to me, and you guys have all filled out these surveys, these online Google surveys, right? For anything. So stores basically have to do that. They have to fill out an online Google survey with what new releases they want and how many quantities for the week. And then that all gets compiled and it goes to some master spreadsheet at the mothership in Nottingham. And this is assuming what happens, but I mean, that is what happens with a Google survey.
that is what happens.
Yeah. And so somebody gets a spreadsheet that's like, here's all the numbers for products that are requested. And what I think is happening here Wednesday is that they didn't sell, their forecasting's down. The sales are down to what they forecasted, and they're looking at having a lot of product on hand. They're getting ready to start calling stores tomorrow to actually solicit them for their orders. And they're going to have a lot of product on hand, I think. So I'm hoping this doesn't become another Skaven Tide thing where they just have all these boxes. And maybe you can chime in here. I'll give you your 2 seconds on the
Give
podium
him his
about
Legends
Legends.
rant in the wake of Mike Caspel's legendary Legends rant. From
Oh my gosh, people were messaging me about that. So Brad, what do you think? What do you think would help Horus Heresy sell better? If you could play the models in 40K, maybe?
It's yes, so much yes. It's crazy. There's so many cool ass models. They're like, hey man,
Right?
did you guys all convert and make these amazing models?
Hmm.
Cool. You're not allowed to play any of them. I went
Not a
over to my
one.
buddy's house. Right, he took a picture. He's got a wall, his glass wall with all the models and stuff, and he goes, "Let me show you what got Legends." And it was just one wall because he played all the bikes and everything else. And I used to have all my orc lord, knobs on bikes and all those guys. Just it's also why ah iconic models that
Yep.
still are alive. Also, why is Karandras gone for my Eldar?
He's
What
missing in the work. We don't
but
know.
like there's so many like iconic orc war boss on bike. Like all these people, there's so many people for forever that have had great conversions, that spent a lot of money. People have bought multiple kits to make those models, different dreadnoughts. I still kind of want the old Land Riders, but just so many of these things are super badass, including characters that are still alive. Man, I get it if somebody died out, Solar Macarius, he'd be what, 600 now. But
Yeah.
hey, there's a good reason for him not to be here. But man, there's so many characters that have had super cool models that are no longer there. And that's the whole thing.
Yep.
Cool shit should be on the board. It shouldn't be taken away. Stop making shit vanilla. I
And
don't
yeah,
want
and
shit to look the same.
I think that's one of the biggest complaints with 10th edition is the homogenizing of the game, the rule
Ugh.
set. It's and then you get shit like this, and for people listening in at home and not seeing the visual, I'm holding a new drop pod with its stubby ass little doors, and it's got a hollow bottom. It's basically a terrain
When
piece.
news of that dropped, I will quote Wyatt on this, who's not here tonight with us. He's like, unplayable garbage. Not because I'm not saying the rules aren't playable. It's just fucking unplaceable. How you gonna play with these things?
Yeah. And then literally they put out the rules today, the data sheet, and they're like, all the little rubble piles that are on the sides of it,
Count.
you can actually deploy from the little dirt piles. Like,
Stop trying to make people argue, man. Clear,
I,
just
I don't get it.
stop it. I
Well
want to
said.
have a drink and play with my toys. Fuck.
Stop trying to make people argue, bro.
It's so dumb. Like,
I mean, and drop pods have been shrouded in controversy since their inception, bro. But
Forever.
like one of the easiest eras though was when we're just gluing the doors shut. Didn't matter, right? Like,
yes, it's fine if it's just a vehicle. It has a regular size. You know what I mean? If I just put these spider web all over the place, dude. If I go first and just slam a bunch of drop pods into you, and we're playing supply drop or purge the foe or something, you know what I mean? You're just like, well, I guess I'm taking 2 turns to kill drop pods that are terrain pieces.
yeah,
on
literally
it.
can't move.
Yeah.
I did
Like,
that to
Can't
like
get
a
to the
night once,
objectives.
where like I made them
Yeah.
dude. It's ridiculous.
Well,
It's
yeah. So there obviously there's a lot of thoughts there. Speaking of also a lot of thoughts, I don't know how much you play online, Brad, but the TTS
Oh, I heard the
40K
Discord
TTS
server like went away.
Discord server, yeah, disappeared like a ghost in the night.
I don't
Some
know what
say
happened. What was up with that? Because that was crazy.
so. I guess he got brigaded or something. The guy apparently was not a cool dude. And I saw some, and I published some of the screenshots of some of the things he said. Um, Not cool.
What's the word you
We
said?
don't.
Brigaded?
Yeah, they call it brigaded,
What does that mean?
where
What's the term mean?
it's like that shit that happened on Reddit where everybody was like, "Rob Baer's the devil," and
Oh, okay. Got it.
they
I
come
kind of
together
felt like
and
that's what it means.
yeah, like yeah, that it's everybody. Now in this instance, maybe this dude deserved it because he said a lot of terrible things.
Yeah, people are
Against
equally allowed to say whatever they want, as people are allowed to react to that however they want. Like,
Yeah.
right, but I guess what happened was allegedly what happened was a lot of these infractions were reported to Discord, and Discord just
oh,
straight up
eventually
like
they
pulled
shut
the
it down
server.
after the cumulative
Yeah,
weight
because
of-
remember, it's that whole thing where if you have a platform, you have to moderate it. You have
No,
to.
you're the like when you log into Twitch, TOS is like, look, ultimately you're responsible for what's in your chat.
Unless you're Reddit and you just allow people to say whatever the fuck they want about
dude, Reddit.
spiky bits, for example, and then when I call you out and I go in there to post to correct things, I'm not allowed to post
Bro,
because
Rob,
I'm the
but in
asshole.
case you know, Rob is literally Hitler, like according to Reddit.
I have been accused of many things.
Also,
Andrew
the
Tate.
Andrew Tate of wargaming,
Yes.
apparently.
Yes.
Andrew Tate of Wargaming.
Bro, I have heard
All of it.
I
Some
have heard and
wildly
seen some things.
inconsistent hot takes, though.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm just like, you don't know anything about me. Like, get
Yeah,
out of
I
here.
don't. I would say, you know what I go to Reddit for? If somebody sends me something specifically that somebody compiled on Reddit, that's why
Okay.
today. That's about it because that's a
Yep.
lie. I go to if I'm into a video game and I'm looking for competitive builds and something, I can go there. Otherwise, it's just people going, ah, let me started on that. In my own
Yeah, I
Discord,
agree.
we constantly have to curb stuff because
Yeah.
any community, I don't care what it is. Again, we're playing 40K, it should be fun. If you ask a terrible, dumb question, you should get somebody helping you out as opposed to 15 people telling you that you're Hitler, you're educated, you know what I mean? You're a terrible person.
kill
You're like, dude,
yourself, like shit like
yeah,
that. Like,
Yeah, kill
it's
yourself. Yeah.
it would be super cool if I just got like a regular answer to this as
yeah.
opposed to 20 people telling me how shitty I am. Also, you're sorry, I'm doing an old man thing here because that kind of
Get
shit
off my
drives me
grass.
crazy. No, because you would never say that shit in person. None of these people
No, of
would.
course not.
Not like
Oh,
if if we were in an elevator together and you said something, I wouldn't just get in your face.
You
and be
would
like,
be polite, like a regular
yeah,
human. You would
yes.
be like, you would be pleasant and polite, just like every person is for most of their life.
It's just so wild.
You
Like,
would.
why is your I don't know. I don't.
I
That
agree.
gets me worked up. I don't know why. It just
Well,
again,
don't.
it's me being an old man about it. It's just it's just you see like it's just crazy. Like why isn't there like decorum online? I guess just
Decorum
don't.
is a good word. Yeah.
It's all about the platform and the people policing it, just like yourself, keeping your Discord. I mean, I literally have somebody on my payroll to police my social medias, all of them. And it's a lot of work. Um, and that's just the way you run it. You have to police your communities, or else one, you can be held accountable in this instance, although I guess it was more of the actual person in charge being held accountable than them not doing something for some other stuff. But
Do you
um
post under Magnolia Fan on moviepoopshoot.com? And you said, quote, Jay and Silent Bob are clown shoes, end quote.
clown shoes.
Clown shoes.
Oh God. I call shit clown shoes today, as a matter of fact. I'll never forget that movie.
I use that quite frequently.
Yes.
Clown shoes and banana pants are pretty much my go-tos.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna steal that. Speaking more about fun and exciting things, GW Stockwatch. So something came up across my desk a few months back where Games Workshop had another. If you're a stockholder, they had another general managers meeting, and they took a vote, and 2/3 of the stockholders voted against their basically how they pay themselves and things like that. And I forget exactly what it was. It was either 2/3 or 30% voted against their like share policy and stuff like that. And I thought it was really weird, and I tried to find what the actual meeting notes were and what they were actually upset about, because this happened again. This happened last fall, and then miraculously, like a month later, there was like an unscheduled dividend payout. It's almost like they were like trying to hush up the dissident. Um, and then it happened again, and I was like, and this was just in May, and I was like, man, I really wish I knew what that was about, but I wasn't able to find it. I was a little sad. And then lo and behold, on July 4th, they're like, hey, that whole asset, dividend like plan we voted in May. Well, guess what? Our Lord and Savior, our Roundtree CEO, well, we're gonna let him buy 14,000 shares of GW stock for 5 pence each, and a pence is roughly $1.25.
That's what I
Right?
was saying.
So, knowing what you two know about the stock price of Games Workshop, how much do you think that 14,000 shares of Games Workshop stock is actually worth?
A metric shit ton. I'd have their stock has gone crazy in the last 5 years.
I agree. So that 14,000 shares of stock is worth $2.8 million.
Yeah, I was saying it's just that's one of the things that I talked about. And the many of things Brad regrets was we talked about buying GW stock when 8th edition was coming out
Mm.
because we were playtesting it before it came out. We're like, this is really going to change the game. I am an insider to this. I feel like I should do something about it. And then instead, I wandered away and got a glass of wine or something. And I didn't do that. And it exponentially went up in price from there.
Yes,
Because
yes,
at
it
the end of
is.
7th, they were crashing pretty bad.
Yeah, there was, depending on who you listen to, I think Peachy's podcast when he was on the painting phase, like they're basically like 1 month away from being able to pay people in 2015. And remember, X-Wing was more popular for a
Yeah.
number of years back then than 40K. So it's a really interesting dynamic. But here's where it gets even weirder. If you listen to all the business ramblings out there, um, Games Workshop is actually doing very well, and they're on
Really?
the FTSE. They're a top 100 FTSE over there. And if you actually look at Roundtree's salary, you could make the argument that he's actually underpaid. So this might be
For
part
what
of
they're
his.
making, that is true.
Yeah, because the average like FTSE like CEO salary is significantly higher than the 1.6 million I think he's getting. Um, Also, there's no photographs of this guy, which is also weird. Like, very weird.
It's because his name's just an anagram for something else, man.
We just don't know. It might not even exist. Who knows? But anyways, I thought it was worth mentioning because you can look at that story in two different ways. Maybe he's underpaid, maybe not. Maybe he's just, and there was some strings on this $2.8 million in stock. He has to be there through 2027. But generally, when stuff like this happens, there's also things like
It's
if the company gets sold, you
yeah.
automatically.
I was about to say though, if you give me the carrot of millions of dollars with
Yeah,
18 months I have to stay, I'll you're not getting me. I'll be a barnacle on the side of that building before I leave without my money.
yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's just a really interesting thing to see when you see the dynamics, boots on the ground like we are. Store shelves bare, stores can't, get the stuff they want to actually support themselves or support their community, and you got, somebody just getting basically $3 million for peanuts.
Well,
It's just
the other thing in the stockholder meeting, I actually thought I was surprised that didn't get brought up. Uh, their factory still hasn't opened.
there's two. They're actually building two new ones over there at the opposite ends of the street.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. I consider it the factory as far as that, but like
Oh, sure.
those are wildly behind schedule because they haven't been meeting goals. I mean, come on now. All of you store owners, how often have you put in your order for 200 of something and gotten your 11 and
Oh,
just gone, what am I supposed to do with this, you know?
yep. And it's funny, I talk about that all the time. But we hear on the channel probably a little too much. Also over on Spiky Bits YouTube and all the platforms there. And there'll be stores that are like, hey, I always get what I ask for, and I question the size of their store first off. But then there's also people that are like, every store in my area has all these things, and I was like, sounds like a business opportunity to me, bro. Like, yeah, you're go buy them all. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, this is not normal. So yeah, if you see stuff on the shelf, there's an
Snag it.
opportunity everywhere. You just gotta look for it.
Just like when you get your set of cards for each tournament season.
Oh, do you know? I remember seeing. I haven't looked it up recently, but the chapter approved decks were near $100, and at the same time, the Pariah Nexus cards were still $100
So
on
bananas to
eBay.
me, dude.
And I'm
It's
just like,
I don't
what?
understand when you know that you have something that's going to sell 100%, you need them to play. It's just going to be out there and they just give people hardly any of them. I remember I don't remember if it was Pariah or Leviathan, but like people were starting to get their cards like at the very end of the tournament season. You're just like, hey, thanks for this now.
Yeah.
With cool. I have a new tournament season coming up. Why do I want these anymore? I've always thought that was crazy.
Yeah, they did several restocks, but they all sold out too. I'm actually looking at chapter approved mission deck.
Yeah,
So
it's
they're
just
going for about double. They're going for around 60, $70 right now. They've cooled a
also,
smidge.
if you're sniping at stuff on eBay, you're a bad person. Look in the mirror and do something else. I
Yeah.
just let everybody play. I just want to play the game. I want to have people have
That's
fun.
true.
Rob, how's that? Are you good in the news?
Yeah,
Keep us on track.
that's basically all the big stuff I got this week. So Saturnine pre-order is the big one for the Saturday.
We want to FAQ it a little bit more here.
Let's.
I'll go anywhere you guys want to go.
We're gonna take a quick commercial break. Hear from our sponsors, and then we're gonna come back in on that Q&A.
Oh wait, before we do that, Adepticon key dates, they just dropped them today. Let me write it down real quick. So the Adepticon hotel blocks go live 1 p.m. Central on July 24th, which is not very far away. The event cart preview will be December 15th. Event registration goes live on January 11th, 2026. If you want your badge in the mail, the deadline for that is February 8th, 2026. And event registration deadline is February 27th, 2026.
And we're back.
Oh,
So let's do a quick what's new in the FAQ with Brad Chester. Chester, give me some highlights.
one of the things that I didn't think was a highlight, but I did pencil it. I was debating on whether I wanted to bring it up because I just think it's a goof. Is when they said embarking within vehicles now, they just
Oh,
said within, not wholly within, and I think it's just an error basically because 100% of the time you've always had to have everybody be within that vehicle because the way it reads right now, it feels like you could just have someone in the unit near that, and that's huge when you're talking about stratagems to get back into vehicles and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that is interesting. Good
mhm.
good catch, because that is a major difference in wording. Because within and wholly within have always been two completely
Yeah.
different things.
I was going through my messages from earlier because I said I was going back and forth with the FAQ, and that was one of them. I was like, and I go, I don't think that one's
And
going to
Karen
stand.
Quinn points out that that says only vehicles with bases. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it is vehicles with bases, but there's a ton of vehicles with bases, so it's just
Mhm.
and you know what I mean. There's the thing is that technically, again, Wave Serpent Raider, those things all have bases that you're not using, but they're technically vehicles with bases. It's just one of those
Monolith.
things. Yeah, Monolith again has even though the base is this big, but also that used to be the house rule, by the way. If you tried to declare cover save with Monolith, somebody would just kick you because you're like, dude, it's a skyscraper. I can always see it. But the again, same thing I was saying before is just don't do things that make you have arguments. Now, with good things, I really like the changes to Overwatch. It's not even changed to Overwatch. They just worded it better. Overwatch is still just Overwatch. They just explain exactly how you do it, which is fine. Was it necessary? Probably not, but they cleared it up. If somebody else is having an issue with it,
What they
why not?
clear up specifically? Because I knew some people who were definitely trying to wordsmith
Yeah.
uh,
Well,
the
yeah,
moments in which you can Overwatch.
yep. And it's effectively, it explains kind of what it already is just the rule didn't change. It's just when you're eligible to be shot, you have to be unengaged, you have to be visible. Like people were arguing because of the weird way that the rules were said that you could charge from behind something, but then somebody else could see you after you did it. You're like, no, once you're engaged, you're engaged. There's no bullet time where I get the matrix, in some shots here. So I like that they cleaned that up. Uh, I don't know what was up with charge eligibility. That was one that I wanted to ask you. What did you guys? I don't know what changed on that. It felt like it was just they had a big paragraph on charge eligibility and who you could go into, but it seemed like nothing changed whatsoever. So that was a strange one for me on
Where
that.
was that? Was that in the
It's in
data
a
slate or the commentary?
it was in the commentary, I think.
I don't remember reading that in the commentary. Let me go
Well,
look.
they just had a thing on charge. It looked like the same paragraph as before. The one that I liked that they did was they changed the timing on observers with tau observers and shooting.
Yes, they were
'Cause-
very specific about that.
yeah, I do like that because when they worded it, when they changed how the rule worked, I did think it was very odd. Like it was just your people were not 100% sure when they were supposed to do stuff. And I like how they changed the timing just a smidge because it felt like you were choosing everything before. And I thought that was bad for Tau. So that I like that quite a bit on that.
On the charge eligibility, is it just talking about like models within 12 inches or?
Are
It was one of those
you
at 12 inches. It was, I think it's the one that talks about the where basically it's if somebody else moves back or moves into you. Like for instance, if I charge something here and you were here and then you move here and now I can then charge something different. But it's basically the same. I mean, if you moved away from one unit but into charge range with another unit before I've declared a charge for them, it just says you can charge them now. I don't know why that was ever an issue. If I was outside of 12 but you moved inside of 12 in your turn, I've always been able to charge you. You know what I mean? Because charges are declared unit per unit.
the only thing I see changed is when it says in your charging phase. Did I miss it somewhere else?
No, I thought it was the same thing. It
So
just was
long
marked
shift
as
loft says in the old wording, you you were able to charge at the start of the charge phase, or you became eligible to start the charge phase. Now you can declare something as soon as it comes within 12.
okay.
So I
I
guess
thought that I was supposed to say
I
maybe I
thought
was
that
wrong
was
on
the
that.
rule
I thought it
already.
was always the rule. Yeah.
So if you heroic something, you could end up with a unit next to each other. Uh, so I guess what, ineligible to charge? Oh, I see. So there was a scenario in which you were ineligible to charge because it wasn't the start
Right.
by
Well,
them.
usually it would be something that
Oh,
if somebody's trying to abuse that
Snitch.
before, what you would do is you would move away from somebody, you'd basically move towards somebody that wasn't within 12 at the beginning, and then you'd move towards them and try to block another charge, I guess.
Yeah,
Right.
and he even said,
okay.
Kara Quinn said it's niche, and Long Ship Loft said everybody already played it the right way. This
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
I was
like,
just, that's what I'm
okay.
saying. That's what I was saying. Like, I was told that it changed, and then I went and looked at it, but I thought I
You'd
didn't
already
see
written it that way in your
Like
brain.
how?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I already read it that way in the first place. I was
Hmm.
like, I don't know what changed here.
Yeah, and the
So
whole like not being able to overwatch things that you couldn't see. I thought it was already like that too, because people would, launch a charge from behind a ruin, and then there was ample place for them to get and contact the knight, and then the knight, because they were so close to the ruin, couldn't see them. So there's no point where they end their movement that they aren't engaged with the knight. So there's no opportunity to overwatch by that knight or any other knight because
It went
they
from not being seen to in engagement range.
engaged. Yeah.
right. So like, and there's plenty of opportunities to do that because not everything's a knight. Let's be real. Um, so that's just one of those things. If you're a knight player, you might get a random like charge off. Someone might get a charge off on you that you don't have an opportunity to react to because they're that close to those ruins. But that's the game you got to play against knights.
With
I
as
don't
cheap
know.
as the big boys are now, yes, you do.
Well, man, I played a game with I realized knights are so cheap now. I don't own enough Questoris. I was like, wait, where's my fourth? Where's my fourth Questoris?
It was so funny because I put a TTS game out there, and we were talking about what you could do, and it was right after they dropped the points, and I
Uh,
go, no problem. Here's my next team army. I go, this is going to be one Imperial, one Chaos, and I put down 6 big knights for Chaos, which is 1990 because you bring 3 Abominates and 3 of the
yep.
335 ones, and I'm like, you bring this on Search and Destroy. I don't know what your plan is, but you got to deal with 6 big knights. Go. That's a lot.
I love it
It
when
is a
knights are like
lot.
this because I love it when knights are in a position to be a like a gatekeeper to where you
I
have to.
like big nights more than I like little nights, so I
Yeah,
do
that's
like
what I
this
mean. Like
deal.
when you're
Yeah.
incentivized to bring the big ones, because that's historically ever since their inception been kind of like a litmus test to list development. You know,
Oh yeah.
you're like,
Can you take this on?
can I kill 2 knights a turn? Like, or you know what I mean? Like you had to like math that out. I love them in that position. Do we have another what's in FAQ like maybe a third to bring it home?
The chaos knights can now they clarified it that they can go through stuff in all phases instead of just movement.
Good.
Hmm.
They need that. I
If
mean,
there's space,
it just
If there's space, there always there has to be
there has to
space,
be space. Yeah,
which is a
they have
big
to
thing.
fit.
Everybody playing against knights, you
yeah.
can move block them. It's not that hard. They
Yes.
have giant bases,
Mm-hmm.
It
and you
turns out they actually can't fall back and shoot you.
yeah. It will you can manipulate so much, especially if you're playing on the new GW. All those 2-inch pieces, they can't land on those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's so many places you can, especially playing on like GW1 or something, where they have the little guys in top and bottom, and then they have the other 2-inch on the very next piece of terrain. Knights have
Yeah,
a
if you
hard
just
time.
do a little pre-measuring, you're like, I can kind of just disallow you from
Yep.
most movement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cheeky on that, but it's not hard to do. You know what I mean on that.
Which is back to our previous point I made where I was like, I really liked player optimization on terrain because if I had like a knight army, I get anxiety setting up my models sometimes, like or if I just have like one Titanicus model or something, I'm just like, man, I got nothing. I can't do nothing. But if I get to like optimize my dream deployment zone, I was like, at least I
Put
know
some
I can
stuff.
get here.
Yep.
Yeah.
You put all the little stuff. I did like all the little the one that I did like is they clarified a lot of stuff that they goofed a little bit in the Codex Space Wolves.
Yeah, there was a few
It,
things. The wolfen.
it was just a bunch of small stuff.
Yeah.
Those were actually just clarification. They're more than clarifications. They were like, hey, this is wrong. Basically, in the book, we know that these two things are supposed to go together. They had a lot of problems with who could go with woofing and stuff like that, because they had keyword problems.
Yeah.
The way they
Well,
were written.
they move faster.
Yep.
Them.
Well, that also.
Yeah.
That's fair. So let's thank you for helping us with a little Q&A segment. But let's move into one of our main topics of the evening, just like our show notes. And we have a guest, like I said, we have Brad Chester here, and we recently ran his first big event. So making the jump from player, and you've been a well respected and accomplished player in our scene for many years, winning many awards and having a lot of respect from other top players, lots of accolades. So, you know, just establishing your credentials. So it's always really cool when someone who's got like that breadth of knowledge and experience to move into organization. Because as I've always said, when you become a TO, essentially you're saying like, this is how I want 40K to be played because I think it's better. And so I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and I'm gonna create an experience to show you that. And you got to have a lot of vision to stick to your guns on that, and you know, especially when people become your customers and they start paying money, like you always see like where those lines end up blurring and where they don't.
Yep.
Like, and so let's jump into some of these show notes. I'm gonna start off with just like how Rob put them in here. This is to Brad. What was the moment you realized you'd rather run an event than just play in one? And did you know what you were signing up for?
Yes, I knew what I was signing up for because a lot of like, I was lucky because I dragged Brian Horton in with me on this, and he's run a ton of events. I've
Oh.
seen behind. So, but my biggest thing on this is I've been talking about it for a while, and this is actually funny. This is how the event originally happened. We were going to do for sure the team, the one we're doing in October, and he wanted to run a singles event also. And I've been hemming and hawing and hemming and hawing and hemming and hawing. And I looked at a couple places, and Barsati goes, "Hey, the event's on this date." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I just signed a hotel deal." And I'm like, he's like, "Figure all the rest of the stuff out. You've been dragging your feet too long. It just is." So I'm like, "All right, I guess we're doing stuff." But I wanted, I think too many events are just take for granted that people are there. Like you don't need to give away like a million prizes and everything else, but like you should let the players know that you appreciate they came, you know. I don't give.
Mhm.
I gave up like three of the. I ran a 7 round event. 4 of the rounds I went, and I gave. I got like a lot of decent, a lot of great companies gave me a lot of prize support on stuff, and I gave little things to people and like thank people and just we had stuff. We made sure we had enough judges to answer questions and stuff because everybody's been to that event where there's 200 and some people there with the 2 judges and no one could do anything. And just want to let people know, hey, here's some space. Here's water, man. The bar's closed. Here's the restaurants right here. You know what I mean? We have stuff. I want the event to be fun and cool because in the end, 40K is like the 5th coolest thing that's happening that weekend. You want to hang out, you want to drink with your friends, you want to show people your cool ass models. We had a paint contest because I really wanted to showcase people, spending a lot of time. So we had different categories for different. We had still paint judged armies, but we had individual model paint contests there, and I just wanted it to be a celebration of the hobby as opposed to just you're good at playing 40K, and I wanted
Mm.
it to be fun. I wanted there to be enough space. Hey man, I don't want you to be nuts to butts on people. I want everybody to enjoy what they're doing. And I think I got a good success on that. Like, a lot of people gave me positive. At least they didn't send me stuff. If they had a bad time, also tell me because you know what I mean. We'll fix stuff.
Let me go
Uh,
check Reddit real quick.
I'm sure that someone said something about it. Brad Chester is Hitler, and he would
Literally Hitler.
literally Hitler. But no, that was the biggest thing that I wanted to do with tournaments, and I know it's a pain in the ass, but it's not at the same time because like I like having people, it's like hosting a party, man. I want everybody to have a good time. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be crazy. I don't want and here I'm gonna get semi not controversial, but that's a controversial question. What are your guys' opinion on the person at the tournament that maybe he's not doing super crazy shit, but everybody has a complaint about every single round?
Mm.
Because like one bad apple can make the tournament scene feel shittier. You know what I mean? Because that's what everybody
Ooh.
talks about is that
A
the
conflict
bad
in
game.
personalities, like so like you can't curate that when you're having a open, right? Like if the issue that everyone's having with the person is like one of personality, that's just you just gotta tell people to suck it up and
Yeah.
get good. You know what I mean? Like learn better ways of communicating yourself, and you won't have these problems. And
It's just
maybe
that everybody's got like the rules thing on it. Like he did this or he
Mm.
did it, you know what I mean? And then
right,
you're like, do I have to have a
but don't
judge sit
come
at a
to
table?
me after the
Yeah,
game
Right. Well,
after.
that's
with
the
Yeah.
point.
with a
Half the time
list of things he did wrong. I'm sorry. Under no
I wasn't there.
circumstances will I care, because at some point I need you, even though you're my paying customer, I'm trying to create a dope experience for you. At some point, I do need you to self advocate. I do need you to remember this is a cooperative competition. We are playing with each other. And if one guy is kind of deviating from that and he's trying to pull some shit on you, you also need to advocate for like what this game is for you. And there's this really easy thing you can do at any point during the game, which is judge.
I think people should call judges earlier too, man.
Yes, because
Mhm.
you feel like you're going to be looked at, you're going to be perceived negatively, right? Because you are creating a conflict on the table. The second we don't agree, and now we have to bring it outside source, and conflict is uncomfortable. I acknowledge that,
Yeah.
but it's part of the rules. It's just like when you're watching baseball, basketball, football, anything. Dude breaks the rule, they throw a flag, penalty. No one's out there talking about like it's just part of the game. So
I,
call the judge.
I just think the earlier they're better though, because like
Mm-hmm.
if you sit there and argue for 10 minutes, then
Mhm.
call a judge, well, you just wasted time and you're now in a
10 minutes
situation.
behind.
Yeah.
Or like that guy that won what was it, Tacoma Open? He basically grifted his way through,
Oh, don't get me
like
started on that,
cheating the
man.
whole way with orcs
That
because
because no
nobody
one
said
called it.
nothing. Yeah.
Dude, what am I but whatever. I gotta get my chi together for this one. I got a message and they're like, dude, like this, and this have happened. I'm like, none of those are rules, dude. Like just I go, that can't be happening. They're like, dude, turn on the stream. Fuck. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Like there's no way that you made it through. It also, everybody, I'm not saying that people cheat. I'm just saying if you people will fuck up their rules. There's
Yes.
27 factions with multiple detachments per. If you think something's too good to be true, It probably is. Just get the rule out, man. Like, oh man, you are right for the first two sentences, and then there's the two other sentences that go with that. Just man, just talk to your opponent, man.
Yeah,
Everybody's
I
gonna
got
screw
caught in
something up.
that while playing I think like a fucking pickup game, dude. Like, and where my possessed, where I guess I had remembered the devastating wounds being just part of their profile,
Oh,
and
but it's just when they go
it's
the
just when
go
they go
turn.
in when they have their go turn,
Yeah,
right? And I was like, oh my god,
yeah. I mean, dude, everybody's goofed. I'm
like
sorry if you played 40K,
Yeah,
you've played 0 games where you didn't screw something
I was
up.
like,
I'm
I
that's
am
true.
so wrong
period.
on this. But let me pivot kind of to the
Yep.
subject that you're speaking of under the sub section mental load. What's harder, maintaining the schedule, handling disputes, or dealing with that one player who thinks every ruling is a personal attack?
That one player for me, because my problem is that my general mojo is to be chill and not want to do stuff, but like I have a pretty big 0 to 100 when I do get pissed, and I don't want to be the guy that causes a problem at an event and just, I'm yelling at somebody like crazy. And then I go leave and go, oh man, Brad, what the hell were you doing? You know what I mean? Be an adult. But like I let things go forever until I don't let them go. And I do think that's the hardest because I don't want to mess things up, but I also it's hard to balance because I don't want to mess things up for everyone, but I mean, even the one guy that people are having the dispute with has the I want him to have a good time too, man. He paid to come. I appreciate that he showed up. You know what I mean? So I think it's the one guy. So the one guy's
How do
hardest.
you having said all that? How do you handle disputes on the table, especially when both players are technically right and emotionally invested?
Well, one, I got this from Neil Kerr, who does the WTC judging. And one, if you for one, you call a judge and you want a rule, if you guys don't already have the rule up, I feel like one, I should card you right then for doing that. You should have it up, ready to go. And then we'll go to I usually want somebody and like I like to have two judges there if you have like a really crazy ruling, so you can just figure it out. And the thing is that as a player and now as somebody that runs tournaments, my thing, I don't. This is my thing on it. I don't care if you. I mean, I care, but I don't. Once you give a ruling, even if I don't agree with it, cool, we're done. You know what I mean? Rob just said that this is how this works. Cool, I'm playing it the rest of the way. The only thing that I want is this to rule the same way throughout the entire tournament. The only that I didn't want that to happen in anything I've run, and I definitely hate it as a player to have something happen on game one and then game 6 or 7, all of a sudden it's a wildly different ruling.
Which is why you
That's
mentioned you like having two judges,
Mhm.
because if we're about to, if it's a, because not every rules call is a, let me just read how this is written.
yeah,
Okay, here we
No,
go.
no.
Sometimes you're like, that is kind of weird. Huh. Not covered in FAQ. We're going to have to make a tournament FAQ right now.
yep.
So in those situations, you need to make sure that your precedent that you establish is upheld throughout the rest of the event. And so
And I think that's
communication
a big
between the
thing too,
judges.
especially if you make something like that. I can't even remember what we ruled on. It was something like with models and walls or whatever. That was a little foggy. It's pretty decently easy to do on that, but we just made an announcement that we're not using, we're using the regular FAQ from GW. We were not using like the W2C FAQ, for instance.
Mhm.
Also, the UKTC, for instance, has a different FAQ than either one of those three, and people that have played and all this stuff think that it's going to be different per. So you just want to make sure. Again, as long I feel, this is my personal opinion, so obviously it goes into my events. But like, if you make a rule, that's it. Just make the rule, even if it's even if you made the wrong choice, just make it consistently the wrong choice and go with it.
This is a fun
Mm.
question. Because I have feelings on this. Do you ever feel caught between rules as written or rules as intended? How do you make
Ooh.
those judgment calls
Oh,
under
dude,
pressure?
I think that's super hard. I go get Brian. I go get an adult.
Get an adult.
I'm the entire time I played 40K, I've always been a rules as intended guy, and
Hmm.
I've gotten burnt so hard on the rules as written guys because in the end, rules as written is I mean, that's what it is. You know what I mean? But like, you know what we're trying to make happen.
Well,
You
the
know
thing
what I
is, you're an
mean?
OG, right? And so
Yeah.
back in the day, we used to go years between any clarifications,
Oh God.
decade for
From
a
fifth
code.
and sixth,
Yep.
where you're just like,
Oh
hey,
And
man.
has
so,
anybody even heard of GW? They were like on Mount Olympus somewhere.
yeah. And
Like,
so we had to have like all sorts of like organizations of individuals pop up all over the regions and to come up with all the specialized FAQs because it was
Hmm.
literally because rules as written will fail you if there is no clarification in some situations. And so I like to I reference Supreme Court, right? Like we have a body of of rules that is kind of grows, and it's some group of people's job to interpret potentially intent, right? And because like if it's just always the rules, you'll get some. If it's rules is written always, you'll get some
prove
weird
me
ass
wrong.
fucking rules.
That's why you got circuit
Hmm.
courts, baby.
So at the end of the day, I do feel as if whenever you're in that situation, it is an intent clarification, and I think a lot of times that's what FAQs are is an intent clarification because we
Hmm.
wrote the words, and when you do exactly the words we write, it's broken. Whoops. Now here's what we intended. We intended for when you deep strike with the guy at the jump pack and you measure 9 inches away that you don't that you have to always account for horizontal distance, not just vertical, so that you end up with a 1 inch charge.
Yep.
Famously, Robin Crudis witnessed that play out one year to Nova, who wrote that rule, and it was like, "You guys are playing it wrong. It's like this." And we're like, "Are we though?" And he's like, "I wrote that bad." So like, yeah, shit happens all the time.
Immediate.
Intent matters.
It's funny because it's one of my favorites as far as people. Pete from GW, one of the higher ups, was playing at Adepticon of the teams, and somebody called him out about like a rule that was going on, and he's like, "No, there's no way that works like that." And he pulled out the book and he went like this, and he's like, "See, this is how it is." And Pete literally goes, "Not after today." He's like,
Mm-mm.
I'm sending an email that by tomorrow morning that will be changed. Like that's a shitty interaction. Thanks for letting me know. Nope. Like that's going away.
I wonder what it was.
And as
I didn't
Karen Quinn
remember
mentioned,
that.
he's like, "Well, like, how do you know if you didn't write the rules?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's the whole problem, right? So you need
Exactly.
groups of trusted individuals, given the sacred duty of interpreting and conferring with each other to decide what they can infer from the sacred text as intent, you know. And so it's difficult when you're under pressure on the table, which is why Brad said like I want two guys at least if we're about to do something like that. But we don't live in that dark age anymore. We get a lot of support from GW now,
A
tons
little
of
too much
clarifications.
sometimes.
Sometimes, and that's a
I'd
question.
rather have too much
Mhm.
than the old school. It,
Yeah.
Yeah,
when we were playing with old rules and people would print out something from their Forge World book that looked like it was written in crayon.
mm.
You know,
Well, I've got the
come
German translation FAQ.
Oh
exactly.
yeah, yeah, that happened too. Yep.
Yeah, you're just
Oh
like,
man.
come
Where
on, man.
technically living metal on the monolith means nothing works on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
It's like whatever.
but yeah, that's all that has to go through your mind as a TO, and I think there's never been a better time to organize because this thing is playing itself right
Mm.
now, man. Warhammer 40K is at an all-time competitive high right now. Like,
100%.
I think it's an all-time high in general. I mean, either like we've said, either GW's complete idiots at forecasting and supply chain, or they literally cannot meet demand
or we're just
in that.
dumb, and we've been wrong the whole time because they keep going up in value. Like, so it's like,
Hey, maybe.
Or that,
Oh,
yeah, or C.
every criticism I've ever made has been proven wrong every year. Like it doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? But that's good. That's a question because there's two before we get out of here tonight. I want to circle back to two topics, right? One of them is give me a 2-minute terrain rant.
I have a lot of on the train. One, rope your communities in. I feel like a lot of people that run tournaments are so reticent to pull people in, man. Buy a couple pizzas, get a couple beers out, and grab a bunch of people and cut some foam, dry brush, hang out. I see a lot of people using the pop-up stuff now and the fit together, but that's an investment. You know what I mean? You can get so much out of your community. Just grab a bunch of people, and people will be willing, man. Like I'm the worst hobbyist in the world, but I'm still like, let's do some terrain, man, because a good board adds a lot of flavor and feel to the game. I mean, people talk about
Hmm.
it, they're painted armies, man. You want to have terrain that's good enough for the best armies that show up. You know, you don't have to have masterpieces of boards, but have boards that look like you give a shit, I guess. I'm a little bit of
Hmm.
a pinkies up on this one, but I, and again, I would like to have more different types of terrain, but that's not where it is. Um, but I think that you gotta don't be afraid to ask people, man. I'm just so many people will help if you just go, hey,
Hmm.
if we're doing this many hours, we're gonna have some food, we're gonna have some drinks, we're gonna do this for a while. You can get so much done, man. You have basically a terrain RTT and have 20 people show up and just smash out stuff. You can get so much done.
I've done
It
that.
doesn't.
I've literally done exactly what you're talking about
Yep.
at Gamers Haven in Colorado. I remember like Mike Haspel set up a workshop and we all showed up
Yeah.
with our airbrushes and shit, man. We banged out terrain.
Oh, but it's also just a fun time,
Mhm.
anyways, man. Because I don't care I don't care what I'm doing anymore. I just want everybody to hang out, be around. I want to talk nerd. I want to talk by 40K. I want to talk whatever. I just want to have people around and doing stuff. I just like when the community gets together, and I know,
It's a community building exercise, but also, like you
Hmm.
said, it adds
yeah,
a lot to the game. We've been playing this game throughout so many iterations of terrain. And fourth was really interesting renaissance because that went we could play on felt with numbers.
yep,
And so if you're gonna do as Quinn said, every planet's flat with L-shaped ruins. Might as well just do felt with numbers. That's even easier. No one needs a box of terrain.
yeah. Because then you don't have to buy anything and think.
Yeah,
But it
and
just
that's why
we
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 got
played on it though. It just doesn't feel good
yeah.
though. I
And but
mean,
that's where the Renaissance first started because now you didn't need a lot of investment, right? Then fifth was wild because we got cinematic terrain, right? Model's eye view and shit. So like think about how your memories of fifth edition tournaments are. Like they're like probably your actual memories of tournaments. It's like when you're
yeah.
thinking, you're
Yep.
like, bro, that's fifth, that's fifth, that's fifth.
So
Fifth
we had all
was
those.
banging.
We also had a bunch of different stuff. We had the huge statues and stuff. They had, I don't
Oh
know.
yeah.
We had more. We had different styles of terrain because they
And
wanted
everything
the
was covered.
tables to be
Remember,
thematic.
everything was a cover save.
Yep.
They just said, fuck it. If it's not fully seen, it's farm cover. Fuck it.
Cool. Don't care.
It
That
worked.
was still my favorite rule. If it just straight up said, if you and your opponent can't decide what kind of cover save it is, cool. Roll. It's one less or
Yeah.
whatever. It's just like I don't. No one cares.
It was like dice it
Just
off,
play.
bitches. Like it was that simple, bro. Now, I really do appreciate your train wrap, but let's, as prophesized in the pre-show, give me 5 minutes on Legends and how you feel about Legends.
Oh, God damn. I don't like them cutting anything out. And the half the time they're cutting things out is because they don't want to continue to make that model. That doesn't mean that you should be excluded from using it. Also, what happened to just being cool with kit bashing, man? I know KR is not into his conversions, just like his clean stuff, but like if you have the option of making something and you can put it together with other models, man, like I don't know, the rule of cool applies so much. Like as someone that just doesn't see colors very well, I really like conversions and bold stuff because I can see lights, I can see darks, and I can see those. I like all that stuff together. Legends are the time where you can do that. There's so many cool models. Think about what they went 40 data sheets or something, or like last year when they Legends of the Orcs. That's
Ugh,
bananas, man. And
too
then
much.
they basically took every single bike out of Marines. Dude, there's people that have whole armies of that. You're you're stopping people from having fun. Uh, the thing is, it's not that hard. Maybe you're not making that model anymore, but like, why do you have to take the rules away for people that do have it or
Mhm.
are willing to convert it?
As
You know what
Rob
I
has
mean?
famously said, like, don't like give me stuff, don't take stuff away.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Also, but I don't know why the reason is. It
Well,
just
it's vision. I've always said, especially since GW launched in eighth, there's clearly a game vision now, and part of that is aesthetics. They really want the aesthetic of this sci-fi IP to have like a produced look. So when you
Yeah.
walk into any room, it's there. It is right, and when you have a bunch of old models mixed in with new models, sizes are different, shapes are different, lines are different. So it's just design aesthetics at that point, right? So I think that's the
guess.
motivator.
I love that though.
Yeah. Lots of people love that shit, but
I-
somebody doesn't, and then ultimately that leads to, well, this is also secretly a way to get people to buy the same model they already own again. So there's also a marketing strategy, right?
Sure. I
Sure.
mean, they're a
But
model company, but like,
GW makes a lot of lateral moves, in our opinion, right? Because that shit's on the community. You should be boosting the community. Stop chasing quarterly profits, because you will get even more profits at the end of the year if you
Yeah.
don't do this shit to us. So chasing these profits ends up as a lateral move. I've said that for years. I'm wrong. They keep making money. Fuck. Like,
I mean, they can make more money.
they,
All I know is,
right, they could make more.
I'm doing a sideways rant on that.
Yeah.
Just give me the app and everything else, and charge me a subscription fee. If I have to put one more stupid weird code in
Bro.
to see my stuff on my app, that shit makes me go crazy. What?
Well, not just that. Like if you get the book ahead of time because it comes in
Oh, you
the
can't even
army
put your
box,
code in.
bro,
Yeah.
you can't even put your code in. It's like now you
It
literally
just drives
sold me
me
something. I
insane.
You're
can't
right.
use.
Again,
You're right. If they made this, I'm back on it. Fuck it. If they made this much money, they could have made more. They could have made
Yes.
more,
Oh,
because
bro, they've left
So much.
2/3 to 50% on the
Again,
table.
who doesn't want a subscription model? I don't
Yeah.
get codexes right now sometimes because it irritates me to put the code in.
Mhm.
It's a
And
paywall, and that's
if,
why I don't
if
do
you
it.
would if you would just tell me that it's going to cost me X a month, I would forget and I would be annoyed. It would be like,
But then I'd have all my
okay.
codexes every time I log
Yep,
in.
exactly. I would be
Eh.
annoyed but I would never cancel it.
I go a
And-
step further. Make it a free app, like a pay-to-play app. It's free. And then when you want rules, it's just a la carte in-app purchases. And I'm talking, it's not just like, oh, I want to buy that codex. The codex is a bundle. I could just buy like the 2 data slates I want to look at for $1 each.
Any of those things are easy.
Bro,
It's
any of
just-
these, like you
would
could,
think.
It's
you-
just it's actually annoying to put that code in because you got to click and then it takes you to
bro,
the
it's
login
hard.
again.
It
and
takes
then
you
go
out of the app. It takes you to the browser.
Yes.
What's my Warhammer ID again? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're like, you get to the thing and you're like, well, where do I redeem a code? Then you're like, oh, you're just like, yeah, what the? I'm trying to give you money. Stop making it hard for
Mhm.
me.
It should never be difficult.
Mm-mm.
It's crazy, man.
So-
Ah,
I agree with you on
I got carried off, and if you don't have a Brad Wrangler, I'll go wherever. Something shiny happens, and I run to it.
No, we're about to wrap this up. So that's why I wanted a little taste of your Legends rant for everybody
I
driving
just-
to work right
Oh,
now. Little taste of the
I'm still
terrain.
mad about that. Like my boy Brandon has the entire wall of bikes that he can't use, and they're all converted to be God damn it, Legion of the Damned. Entire
Oh, man.
wall
That's
of bikes,
upsetting.
all converted to be Legion of the Damned. Oh, every single one of them is Legends. You're like, why? Just why?
That's upsetting. That hurts my feelings.
Mm.
It's
Like- like that hurts. But thank you for joining us tonight, Brad, and thank you
Yeah,
for
dude.
participating in this rant with us. Rob, you want to take us out of here?
I like that when I put my hand up here, you can see my mountain of drugs in the background.
So that's it for this one. Thanks everybody for watching. Make sure to head on over to thelongwar.net for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today.